understanding. How to teach understanding? You teach understanding. You've got to teach it.
So you teach understanding.
Yes.
You want the child.
Yes. Understanding in reading is taught. Does a teacher know how to do that? When it comes to comprehension is taught. Does a teacher know how to teach that? Those are part of reading. Reading with understanding. You've got to be able to teach comprehension. You've got to be able to teach reading. You've got to be able to teach understanding.
So you've mastered that, and
Yes.
you've mastered another obstacle is the second language
Yes.
obstacle.
Yes.
So in other words, the child who comes from for whom English is a second language, you've trained the teachers to you've
Yes.
mastered that and trained the teachers to,
Yes,
to
yes.
bring the child to be able
Exactly.
to. Perfect.
What are those strategies? Does a teacher know those strategies? Is a teacher able to teach those strategies?
So you've mastered that, and you can whenever the teacher is under your control, you know you're going to make them
Yes.
able to do that. Right.
Yes.
You've had phenomenal results from what you told me, right? So the results in 4 years in Pinetown that you've been there, Pinetown became the leading district in KZN in English results.
Yes.
And as a result of this, obviously the matric results went up.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
Then you left Pinetown, you went to Amajuba,
Yes.
same story.
Same story.
The
Yes.
things went up.
Mm.
And then you retired,
Yes.
and the results just dropped.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and you told me that Pinetown now is second last,
It is second last.
where it was top in
Yes,
your presence and it
it is
dropped.
second last because of.
We need you.
Yeah.
Okay? You need to come back. Right. Okay. Now I'm talking to you now. I brought this up because there's a man who has a passion. He's got a program. He's had results for 8 years. He's had results. He's had schools, districts now, which is a combination of 68 to 79 schools, actually like the top performing schools in the area, thanks to his influence. So this man has got a lot of influence. We need to support him. I've got Themba Langa with me. Themba is a facilitator, a former subject advisor from the Department of Education, and he was a subject advisor in the English language as a first additional. What is it? First additional
First additional languages.
languages.
Yes.
Languages.
Yes.
Okay. So Themba, you've worked with teachers and you've worked with learners, and your main objective that you worked with the teachers was to teach them how to teach English to the learners.
Yes.
Especially learners who have the language barrier, right?
Yes.
Those that for whom English is a second
It's a second language.
language.
Yes.
So you found a way and a method to overcome that problem,
Yes.
so that these learners now are able to learn, to read, and to understand.
Yes.
Because the problem you were telling me is that they have a problem understanding. They
Yes.
can read.
Yeah, they can read, but
They can't understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So that was where you became like the expert in that area, right? Because
Yes.
you got very good results, which we're going to go over.
Yes.
All right. So I'm meeting with Themba to go over a program that Themba has done in the schools, and where he's actually improved the literacy of the learners, especially in the rural areas where English is a second language. English is not the first language. And I will be asking questions to Themba as to how he went about doing it, the problems he ran into, the challenges he ran into, the programs that he implemented, the results, the phenomenal results he got, and why we're talking about it, because we want to replicate this in a broader scale, and he's the man that can do it. That's your passion, right?
Yes.
You love doing it.
Yes.
You're retired now,
I'm retired. Yes.
but you're not happy with what's going on.
Definitely
and,
no.
And you feel there's some sort of responsibility that you want to
Yes.
put in to give your time to make this happen. But you're experiencing some challenges to get it on.
Yes.
That's why this video is about. But first of all, let's brief you on what it's about. It's education, it's comprehension, it's literacy, which actually helps the children regain a purpose in life. Because if somebody cannot understand what he reads, if he wants to become a pilot, he wants to become an accountant, an engineer, a scientist, any of these things, it's going to be very hard on them, and they lose sight of that purpose. And what do they end up with?
Drugs.
Drugs. They are unemployable.
Yes.
They need to take drugs because it somehow uplifts them or makes them forget their problems, because there's no reason for living.
Yes.
Right. So we need to give people a reason for living, so that they have purpose and they can produce something in life and be proud about it and build up their self-esteem.
Yes.
Right. So that's all the things that can happen when we do that program, when Themba does this program. All right. So Themba, I'm going to ask you a few questions about your history, what you've done. So you told me you were in Pinetown. So I'm following this chart here. I just jotted it so that it's systematic and we go through it rapidly, and so it's comprehensive as well. So you get to understand the entire picture of this program. So you worked in 2002, was it?
I started in Pantown district in 1997.
1997.
Yes, yeah. While it was still the Devon South region.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
And then as a subject advisor, when...
Yes, I was a subject advisor then.
But at what point did you start that program where you started making that impact?
I started this program in around about 2004, 2002. Yes, yeah. Because now, maybe let me just tell you what actually influenced the program.
Okay,
and then
yeah.
where did I get all this?
Mm-hmm.
When the new curriculum was introduced in the early 2000s, I had a problem because I was supposed to run workshops for teachers, and I did not have that much knowledge. So I heard about the English workshops that were run overseas.
Okay.
Yeah. And then from 1997 up to 2012, I attended those workshops, those reading and writing workshops in the US.
Okay.
Yeah, for 12 months. Out of my own pocket. Eh?
Okay.
Nobody assisted
So you
me.
invested in yourself.
Yes, and then that is where I really understood how reading is taught. That's where I understood how writing is taught.
So you've been trained in how to teach reading and writing.
Yes, I was
So
trained.
you're an expert at
Yes,
that.
I was trained and I became an expert.
You became an expert. So
Yes,
you're
yeah.
the expert.
Yes.
And from your expertise, you took on Pinetown District.
Yes,
You had 79 schools under your control,
yes,
of which you had 86 English teachers,
Yes.
plus minus 86.
mm,
For 4 years you worked with them,
yes,
and then you moved to Amajuba District in Newcastle. You
Yes.
had 68 schools,
Mm.
of which you worked with 76 teachers, and
Yes.
you implemented those skills.
yes, I implemented those skills.
All right, that's excellent, right? So the problems, as you said, the reading was a problem. The income, the effect that happened was, from what you said, they couldn't do matric, right?
Yes,
They could, due to poor reading, because they can't understand what they read. They can read but can't understand, right?
yes, yes,
And as we said earlier, they become unemployable, which turns to crime, drugs, which is not something we aspire for.
yes,
So we are aspiring for people able to understand what they read. Because when they are able to read, as you said, now it goes across the entire curriculum.
definitely.
So when they're studying maths, they're
Yes.
studying science, they're
Yes.
studying accounting, they're
Yes.
studying geography,
Yes,
any other language,
it's
they-
very, very easy.
now they can read and they can understand
They
it.
can read and understand.
So which gives them, like their marks should obviously goes
Definitely,
up, yeah.
definitely.
And the matric pass rate
Yes.
obviously goes up. No,
Yes.
it's a no-brainer, right?
Mm.
Yeah. So the solutions that you had then is you created reading workshops.
Yes, I created reading workshops, but those workshops were really structured in such a way that the end result is clear because, like for instance, when I started a workshop, we would look at these focus questions. What is involved in the reading process? What are the problems that are encountered by the learners who are from non-English speaking backgrounds when it comes to reading across the curriculum? Can the teachers assist these learners who are from these non-English speaking backgrounds when it comes to reading across the curriculum?
So you had to empower the teachers first.
Yes, I had to empower the teachers
Yeah.
because now empowering the child is important, but empowering the teacher first. The teacher should know how to approach it. Should have approaches of teaching reading. Reading is taught because you know reading is actually very, very fast.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to teaching of reading, there is the problem of understanding. What is understanding? How to teach understanding? You teach understanding. You've got to teach it.
So you teach understanding.
Yes.
You want the child.
Yes. Well, understanding in reading is taught. Does a teacher know how to do that? When it comes to comprehension is taught. Does a teacher know how to teach that? Those are part of reading. You know, reading with understanding. You've got to be able to teach comprehension. You've got to be able to teach reading. You've got to be able to teach understanding.
So you've mastered that, and you've
Yes.
mastered another obstacle is the second language
Yes.
obstacle.
Yes.
So in other words, the child who comes from for whom English is a second language, you've trained the teachers you've
Yes.
mastered that and trained the teachers to
Yes.
bring the child to be able to.
Exactly.
Perfect, absolutely perfect. because obviously all the
Yes.
all the skills today are you have to read English books written in English.
Yeah, because you always hear people of saying that the strategies for reading. What are those strategies? Does a teacher know those strategies? Is a teacher able to teach those strategies?
So you've mastered that, and you whenever the teacher is under your control, you know you're going to make them able to do that, right?
Yes.
So those are the solutions. So you had reading workshops, which does all the things that you explained there, right?
Yes.
So you've mastered. So now you've had phenomenal results from what you told me, right? So the results in 4 years in Pinetown that you've been there, Pinetown became the leading district in KZN in English results.
Yes.
And as a result of this, obviously the matric results went up, right?
Yes.
Then you left Pinetown, you went to Amajuba,
Yes.
same story.
Same story.
The
Yes.
things went up.
Mm.
And then you retired,
Yes.
and the results just dropped.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and you told me that Pinetown now is second last,
It is second last.
where it was top in
Yes,
your presence
it
and it
is
dropped.
second last because of
We need you.
Yeah.
Okay, you need to come back. Right. Okay. Unfortunately, if you said you had problems approaching the Department of Education, they're not able to support you in that program, right?
Yes, not because they don't want the program, but because of funds, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, the department has got its own challenges, right?
Yes.
So that's why I brought this up now. Now I'm talking to you now. I brought this up because there's a man who has a passion. He's got a program. He's had results for 8 years. He's had results. He's had schools, districts now, which is a combination of 68 to 79 schools, actually like the top performing schools in the area, thanks to his influence. So this man has got a lot of influence. We need to support him. Unfortunately, the Department of Education, we don't know what's going on. However, we're not going to go into that, but we need to find a way to bring this man back into the lead. Now, when we take it to the Department of Education and you've got your funding and all that, the department will have to take it because it's part of the curriculum, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, it's part of the curriculum, which means the department will have to agree to that.
Yes, definitely.
And obviously they have to agree because they also want the results, and if we can put in our efforts with him to bring about the results, it will be a nice thing, because now what we will have the participation of the business world, no? the corporates, right?
That's right.
To come and support this, all right?
Yes.
It's because the support of this program is we're creating literate learners who will live a purpose in life, right? So we need to do that. So there should be no problem with the department. You come with a program with your funding.
Yes.
And maybe a year or two, they will probably start working with you, because they can see you are a legitimate person, you're genuine, your intent, your desire is exact, and it's your passion.
Yeah, and the program is accredited by SACE.
The program is accredited, so which means the teachers will get SACE points.
Yes.
What happens when a teacher gets more SACE points?
The salary goes up.
The salary goes up.
Yes.
So there's benefits all over the place, right?
It benefits.
So SACE accredited, which is accredited by the Department of Education, which means it's professional points.
Mm.
So when they do the program, he issues the points, and these points get put into the teacher's CV, and they can actually get a higher salary because the teacher is showing they want to improve in their skills and making better learners, right? Okay, great. So there's so many positives in this thing.
Yes,
yeah?
many.
Okay,
Many.
so we just need to get this program going. We have to find a way of doing it. We got the program, the solutions, we know the answers work. You have a passion, you wake up for that, and you'll do this for the rest of your life, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Because you've been doing it for many years.
Yes.
Out of your own money, you went to the USA to go and learn this thing, right? Perfect. Okay, so we can do this. We can still run some English reading workshops, reading and writing. We got a program tested. Now the implementation. So we're looking at 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. So let's look at the first year and the second year, yeah? And so in the year one, we would like to do 100 teachers,
Yes.
4 teachers per school. So you're going to approach 25 schools.
Yes.
Probably start in your area where you live in Newcastle.
Yes.
And in your area there's 79 schools, so you can get 25 schools to send 4 teachers.
Yes. True.
4 teachers. In the second year we should go for another 200 teachers, so we could impact 300 teachers out of 75 schools.
Mm.
That could mean 10,000 to 20,000 or even more learners that are impacted across their curriculum.
Yes.
And obviously if you're doing this job, you're going to have the same results you had in Pinetown. Right?
Yes.
So what we need to do now is we need to look at admin. So the admin now is what is going to be the structure that is going to enable Themba, or whoever Themba is also going to train to implement this program. Right. So admin means, so it's best for you to have these teachers come to one venue
Yes.
and stay there.
And stay there.
Yeah, it's not good for them to come to a venue, go back and forth, because they'll come for one day and then the second day they don't come.
Too many issues.
Yeah,
Yes.
too many issues.
Yes.
And your program is 3 days.
3 days.
3-day program, right? So in your 3-day program, you will get these results, and the teachers will walk away with SACE points.
Yes.
And
materials.
and
too,
materials.
which they'll use to implement.
They will
it.
implement it.
Yes.
Okay, so venue, accommodation, food, that's sorted, so you train your personnel.
Yes.
Then we're going to need an admin personnel. There'll be some traveling costs. We'll probably need an office space. The admin personnel is for follow-up, because once the teachers are back at school, somebody has to make phone calls,
Yes.
has to check with them or make visits to
Yes.
see that the implementation is happening. I guess you're going to have report backs from the schools
Yes.
that they must send back to you as well,
Definitely.
so that
Yes.
we can present it. If you're one of these funders, you're going to obviously want to see this, so
Yes.
that we're going to make sure that happens,
Sure.
right?
Yes.
And the organization of the events, somebody will have to organize this, and the feedback, right?
Yes.
And then materials, you said you've got worksheets, and the worksheets, that's for the teachers, and the
Yes.
booklets is for the learners, for the
learners.
implementation of
Yes.
the thing,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I think we've pretty much covered it. I think it's very exciting. At the end of the day, this is something that we all want. We want to see a much, learners that are able to read, are able to write, and able to understand, and able to implement what they've learned, and become valuable members of society, because they can produce a product. They can produce
Yes.
the skills.
True.
So we're going to have better engineers. We're going to have better scientists, accountants. What else? Sports people obviously need to know how to read and write.
Yes.
What else does this country need?
Good teachers.
Good. There we go. Making teachers. You know, teachers that live with a passion, that want to see the learners
Yes.
succeeding. Right. Okay. So thank you very much for listening. This is what we want to create. I believe you also want that, and I want you to be part of that, because this is a very sort of interesting, a very worthwhile action and movement or implementation that will create good results. And there's the expert that we got there. So Themba, thank you very much for sharing with us how you did this, and putting in place what we can do, and so that this can be implemented in life, and we'll see the results. I know we'll see the results.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.